Hi, I'm Dr. Avi, and I'm a dentist. In this video, I'm going to talk to you about an associateship position that I had 1 year after dental school. I feel like it's helpful for me to share my experiences so that way you can learn from them. Hopefully you use it to your benefit and make the most of your opportunities. So this is part 4 of a series of videos that I have made to tell you all the associateships that I've had. If you haven't seen the first 3, go back and watch them right now. Then come back here. Okay, so here we are, about a year after graduating dental school and currently working in a corporate Medicaid dental office. The harsh reality was I was already starting to burn out on dentistry. I was getting irritable, I wasn't looking forward to going to work, I stopped caring about the quality of my work. It was getting really bad. The workload was so demanding. I was seeing an average of about 30 patients a day, and I was doing basic procedures like fillings, cleanings, and extractions. That's it. In comparison, the average dentist at a private office is only seeing around 16 patients a day and doing a wide variety of procedures. It was nice to be able to help out an underserved community, but the situation was just not fulfilling enough for me. It was taking a huge toll on my mental health and my outlook on my career. So I started to look for a second job. I needed something else. I wanted to get exposure to a private office. That way I could improve the quality of my care, see a wider variety of patients, and be able to do treatment that was going to be more fulfilling. My plan wasn't to leave the Medicaid office outright, but I wanted a second office to work at so that way I could balance my time. I was looking for something that was going to help me just slow down and be able to focus on the quality of my work. I also wanted to start doing other procedures like crowns and root canals. Looking at the situation, I really just wanted to feel like I was learning and growing as a dentist, and that wasn't really happening anymore for me at this office. I felt like I had reached my capacity at this Medicaid office, and I was ready to take on something new. I applied for a job at a private insurance-based office about 15 minutes from my apartment, and I got an interview. The interview took place at the dental office that was advertised, and I met with the owner. He asked me what I was looking for in a practice. So I told him I wanted to start expanding on the procedures that I could offer patients and focus on treating non-Medicaid adult patients. I told him that I was starting to really burn out at the office that I was in, and I was just looking to grow as a dentist. He told me that I would have free range on doing any procedure that I felt comfortable doing. He also said that he would support me in any way. He told me that they didn't accept any Medicaid patients that were adults, only some children. He also assured me that there was a massive patient population in this office because of how long it had been open. He also told me that the practice that I was interviewing at was not the practice that I would be working at. He said the practice that I'd be working at was going to be a different office and he wanted me to start there. Then after a few months, I would transition into a new office that he was actually building. Also told me that I would be the lead dentist at that new clinic. We both went and visited that second location where I would be working at, and honestly, it was okay. It was definitely older and it was a little bit smaller than the office that I had interviewed at. But he told me not to worry about that and to focus on the fact that this was going to be a good opportunity for me because of how many patients they have and how long that office had been open for. He told me I'll have plenty of patients to see and treat and that it would be really, really good for me. I'll be honest, I thought it was kind of strange that he interviewed me at a nicer office and then was planning on putting me into an older office. But the rest of the benefits that he had told me about, I felt like it was kind of worth it. And it lined up with what I was looking for in another job. I felt like I could trust him. All in all, I thought this could be the place where I could take my career to the next level. It was already way better than the Medicaid office that I had worked at. The commute was shorter, the workload would be lighter, and if all went well in a few short months, I would be crushing it at the new office. So I figured, let's give it a shot. So anytime you start working at a practice, there's always going to be like this initial feel out process. You're going to try to get used to the staff and the staff is going to try to get used to you. The team at this office was very nice and super helpful. The manager was great at communicating with me. There was also a very clear structure as to how the office was to run on a day-to-day basis. I love that. The owner was with me in the practice for the first few days that I was working, and then he stopped showing up. I wasn't too concerned because at this point in my career, I was already pretty comfortable working by myself, but I thought he was going to be around a little bit more so that way I could lean on him for support. So another month went on, and honestly, the schedule really was not that full. I was seeing some patients, but not nearly as many as he told me that I would. There were also a lot of kids on my schedule, like a lot. Look, I don't have a problem treating pediatric patients, but I have my limits. I personally want kids to have a positive experience at the dentist. I do my best to curate a good experience for them, but sometimes if they have anxiety, that is something that is beyond my scope and I can't really manage that. In those situations, pediatric patients are best served with pediatric dentists. So given that a majority of my schedule were children, and I was referring a lot of them to pediatric dentists, my schedule was quite empty. About 2 months in, I figured I'd ask the owner for some help. I wanted to get his insight as to why my schedule wasn't as full as we both had anticipated. This is when he revealed to me that in order to be busy and successful in this practice, I had to treat kids. That is not what we had discussed at the interview. Oh yeah, and he also told me that the plans to open up the new practice were delayed. So I had to treat more kids at this office in order to get busy. And he told me that that should be my focus moving forward. I couldn't believe it. I was lied to. Looking back at this opportunity, he told me everything that I wanted to hear just so I would accept the job. I also found out from the manager that the owner never came to the practice and that he's always been trying to fill this spot with an associate. His last associate left because they found an opportunity elsewhere. This was a tough pill for me to swallow. Trusting an owner doctor, thinking that they had my growth and well-being at the forefront of their mind? Nope. He just wanted me to fill the spots, that way he could focus on other things. Knowing all this, I knew that I needed to make a change quick. Noticing red flags and being able to hit the eject button as an associate before things get worse is a skill that you have to master. I do think that you need to be willing to troubleshoot and work on things as an associate, but some issues are just too big for you to solve, like changing the demographic of an entire patient population. So I started looking for another job, and when I found it, I put in my 2 weeks notice and I left. So let's just take a look at this experience and reflect on it for a bit. Starting out at this practice, it did check some of the boxes that I had wanted. It was a short commute, only 15 minutes from home. I was definitely able to slow down and see less patients, but way more than I had hoped for. I wasn't really able to do expanded procedures like root canals and crowns like I had hoped because of the low patient volume. There was an opportunity to grow as a dentist by treating pediatric patients, and I did, but I realized that this is not what I wanted to do with the majority of my time. Now, the next thing I'm gonna say is not a general statement, but it is something that's relevant to me and my experience. I learned that owner dentists cannot be fully trusted. If they like you as a candidate, they will tell you whatever you want to hear so that way you take the job. And when you take that job, you may get left out to dry and have to solve for problems all on your own. So prepare accordingly. I needed to keep my guard up moving forward while still being open to new opportunities. This was going to be tough. So what can you do to avoid a situation like this? If an owner tells you that they plan on opening a new office, ask for a specific date. If an owner tells you about a patient population and the demographics, ask to see some data. Every practice has the ability to view demographics. You can also see procedure counts. This is the best way to get clarity on exactly how a practice runs. You'll see what type of patients they're treating and what type of procedures they're doing and how often. If an owner isn't willing to show you this information, that's a red flag, because any honest owner should have no issues providing this information to you. If an owner tells you that they're willing to help support your growth, ask them exactly how they plan on doing that. Will they be in the office? Will you have regularly scheduled meetings? Do they have a plan that they want you to follow? Have they ever trained another associate before? Those are some of the things that you can ask them. A great thing that's worked for me is when I'm trying to learn from an owner, I like to have weekly check-ins so that way I can ask them any questions or reach out for any advice. There's not one perfect way to train an associate, but this at least gives you an opportunity to have access to them. Another thing is that when there are a lot of issues in practices, it's best to bring them up early on. That way you can work with the owner to try to solve for it. If you wait too long, the problems could be so big that nobody can solve for them. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please drill that like and subscribe button and share with anyone that you think it may benefit. If you're wondering how my next job went, a spoiler is that I actually made the same mistake twice. Yep. Check out part 5 to find out. Thanks.